Here we go, our objective. I can identify, define, and graph relations and functions. Read together, 1, 2, 3. I can identify, define, and graph relations and functions. So, today we're moving on to bigger and better things. Yesterday we started with two variable equations. Today we're going to continue, but we're going to look at a different area of two variable equations, which is called relations and functions. Okay? We don't need to clarify relations and functions with a Freire model, but we do need steps. Copy these steps down, please. Let's see. Hold on. Copy these steps, please. Only 3 steps. Number 1, represent the ordered pairs as a table, mapping diagram, and graph. Step 2, identify the domain and range of the relation or function, which is in sets of ordered pairs. And number 3, define the relation or function. Copy that, please. All right, so 3 things that we're going to be doing today. We're going to be representing relations and functions on a table, mapping diagram, and a graph. We're going to be identifying the domain and range of those relations and functions. And at the end, we're going to define whether it's a relation or a function. Okay? So, some vocabulary that you should know. You can copy this next vocabulary on the left side where the Q section is at. Okay? First vocabulary. Ordered pairs. Ordered pairs are coordinates that are written like this, parentheses, x, comma, y, close parentheses. Where does this go? On the column of the Q of your Cornell notes. What are ordered pairs? A coordinate with an x and y value. Next, bless you, relation. A relation is basically a bunch of these coordinates together. Not just one, but a bunch of them. That's why you have relation. The definition is a collection of ordered pairs. Bless you. A relation is a collection of ordered pairs. Bless you. From there, the next one is function. A function is a relation. The only thing specific about a function is that for every input, there's exactly one output. And you'll see, I'll give you an example of that in a little bit. Now, who noticed that my coordinate, I color-coded it? Did everybody notice that? Let me show you why. Because the next term is called the domain, bless you. What do you think the domain might be? All the x values in the relation. Therefore, if that's the domain, what would be the range? All the y values of the relation or function. Copy that, please. All right? So check this out. Look up, please. So I'm going to clarify right now a relation. I said that a relation is a bunch of these, right? So watch. Let's say I wrote 1, 2. And then I wrote 0, 0. Then I wrote 5, 9. Then I wrote 4, give me a number? 7. So all these together are called a what? A relation. One of them by itself is called a coordinate or ordered pair. Does everybody understand that? So one of them is an ordered pair. A lot of them together, it's a relation. What I want to clarify is this next one, function, but I'll do that in the next slide. Where I do want to go is here. Look at all these coordinates of this relation. I need to write my domain. What is the definition for the domain? All x input values of a relation or function. So with that said, look up, please. What is my domain of this relation? Help me with this one. Carson? 1, 0, 5, and 4. Does everybody see that? If you don't see it, here it goes. X value, X value, X value, and X value. That's why it's the domain. However, am I going to ask it for it like that? Not quite. What do you think I'm going to ask you to do right after? In order from what? Least to greatest. So it's 0, 1, 4, and 5. Copy that. So if that's the domain, what would be the range? Kiana. 2, 0, 9, 7, and then you would do what? Which is? Bam, that is correct. Copy that, please. So according to the terminology that I just gave you, everybody understands what a coordinate is, right? Or an ordered pair. Everybody understands a relation. Everybody understands the domain. And everybody understands the range. So which is the only one I need to clarify? Function. That's where I'm going. Okay? So here we go. So, before I go there, though, since we're going to be graphing now in 2 variables, I'm going to properly introduce the coordinate plane. Now, if you remember back in, I think you guys started graphing in 4th and 5th grade, or plotting points, right? And they gave you the coordinate plane. They're like, okay, kids, this is a coordinate plane. It has 4 quadrants. You place points here, da-da-da-da-da. Remember that? Okay, so the reason being that I'm going to introduce it is to make sure that you understand why it's the way it is. So here we go. When we first started the school year, we did expressions. From there, we went to equations. When we introduced equations, the process was simplify, isolate, plot, and check. So the plot, you had to do a number line like so, and you plotted your point. Is that correct? Yeah. That was with 1 variable equations. But what did we introduce yesterday? 2 variables. So therefore, check this out. Now we use 2 lines. But you're saying, but isn't this confusing, guys, if we have them just stacked up like that? Because what if I asked Marcos and I would say, I want to plot 1, 2. So let's say Marcos said, well, I'll plot 1 here, and I'll plot 2 over here. Okay? But then Jimmy says, well, I don't like it like that. I'm going to plot 1 over here and 2 over here. But then here comes Melanie, and she said, well, I don't care about that. I'm going to plot both of them on this one. And Leilani says, well, I don't care. I'll plot mine on this one. You see what I'm saying? It becomes, like, really confusing. Therefore, in order for people to distinguish that now we're on 2 different variables, they did this. Look up, please. They got these 2. This is the original one. And they said, what if I do this? Did everybody see what I did? Now, check this out. What was the original line that we started with? This one. And what was the first variable that I introduced you to? X. That's why the first value is X. And to distinguish that this is no longer X, we're going to label this one Y. And since it's the second variable, this one is Y. That just happened. Does everybody understand now why? Get it? Why? Never mind. All right, here we go. So, a relation. So now, pay attention to this part because this is going to go pretty fast for some of us. So, here we go. Let's say I opened up a business of vending machines. And I said, okay, I'm going to bring to this school some vending machines. And I'm going to place them like everywhere I see an empty spot. There it is. That's right. Q fresh, and they're going to be worth 23 cents. Bam. So how much are they here? So guess who's going to be the vending machine working the most? That's right. So check this out. So I place it in an empty spot from here on campus, and all of a sudden somebody looks at it and like, 23 cents. And they're like, bam. So Cody was the first one to discover it. He puts in a quarter, and he presses which button, Cody? Dr. Pepper. And he gets out a Dr. Pepper. So guess what? He goes and tells people, guys, guess what? There's sodas for 23 cents. And all of a sudden he hears a line forming. So here comes Morgan, puts a quarter in, and she gets what? Pepsi. She gets a Pepsi. From there, Johnny gets there, and Jimmy gets there, and Jimmy, what'd you get? A water? H2O. H2O. Be nice. How about Victor? What'd you get? A brisk. So he gets an iced tea. Helen? A Coke. How about Coral? What'd you get? Sprite. There's no Sprite. What other? I ate Coke. No. Coral. There's Humex. There's Cactus Cooler and Grape. This one? Grapefruit. All right, Joel, what do you want? Diet Coke. How about Julian, what do you want? Bless you. What is it? What is it? Grape soda. So watch. Your attention, guys. Focus. What I just did right here, I actually did a relation. You're saying, what do you mean, Mr. Q? Watch. We have an input, and we had an output. Sorry. Watch. An output. And we can write these as ordered pairs. Watch. In, out. In and out. Do you guys see that? Each one of these makes an ordered pair. So it is a relation, right? Now check this out. Pay attention, please. This is what's going to clarify functions. Now watch. Did I press any of the input buttons twice? Yes. Let's identify this one and that one. Did we get the same output? No, they're both great. So, did we get the same output on each one? Yes. So, guess what? This one is a relation, but since we pressed the same button twice and it came out the same on the other side, then this is a function. So, now let me show you what is not a function. Pay attention, please, or you're going to miss it. Here we go. Let's see, Bailey. What do you want? Yeah. No, what kind of drink? So Bailey pushes H2O, and she's going to get a Dr. Pepper. So now check this out. Look up, please. Did we press H2O before? Yes. And what did we get? H2O. Did we press it a second time? Did we get the same thing as the first time? No. Therefore, this is not a function.
Yeah, you're bending this into a function.
Because it's not functioning correctly. Does everybody understand? Now, let me show you with numbers. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let me show you how it looks with numbers. X, Y. Dr. Pepper is 10, so it's 10, 10. Pepsi is 4, 4. Water is 5, 5. Tea is 6, 6. Coke is 1, 1. Grape is 12, 12. Diet Coke is 2, 2. Grape is 12, 12. But then they pressed water, which is 5. And then what did we get out? Dr. Pepper, which is 10. Now, this is how you look at tables. Check to see if there's any numbers that repeat, yeah? The 5 and the 5 repeat. Hold on. The 12 and the 12 repeat. So, let's see. Are these the same outputs? Yeah, so this is clear. This is good. But as soon as you see this and this, make sure you point those out, and you're going to write not a function. Everybody understand? That's how we know that it's not a function. So, talk it over with your neighbor, and then I'm going to call on somebody to clarify for us. Go. When is it not a function? Go. That said. Copy this next one, please. Example 1. It says, express the relation 2, 3, 4, 7, 6, 8 as a table, as a graph, and as a mapping diagram. Also, write the domain and range. Underneath that, copy this table. From there, copy this coordinate plane. It's actually the first quadrant. Then copy this mapping diagram. Copy that, please. All right, as you're finishing copying that, let me get started right away. So check this out. So they're asking us to express this relation as a table, graph, and mapping diagram. So let me show you how to do that, because that's how the home plate's going to be tonight. So watch. First thing that I need to do first, out of these coordinates, I'm going to label my x values. So what is my x value here? 2, 4, and 6. From there, I'm going to label my y values. 3, 7, and 8. Now that I have them labeled, now I know where they go here on my table. So, for the first coordinate, x is 2 and y is 3. The next one, x is 4, y is 7. And the last one, x is 6 and y is 8. I'm done with the table. There it is. Next, I'm going to graph this. I'm going to use blue for graphing. Here we go. So how do I graph this point 2, 3? First, I identify where x2 is at, y3 is at. This is y, this is x. And then I'm going to imagine that there's a horizontal line going this way and a vertical line going that way. And where they both intersect, that's where my point goes. Does everybody see it? It goes right there. And I plot my point. So I'm done with this one. Let's do the next one. There's 4. There's 7. If I extend this way and this one that way, they intersect at about right there. And then the last point, 6, 8. That way and that way, so it's right there. And we're done with graphing. Fairly simple? Yeah. Now let's look at the last one, mapping diagram. Watch. For the mapping diagram, I need to get all my x's here. So my x's are 2, 4, and 6. My y values go here, 3, 7, and 8. And some of you are saying, you're wondering why even do this if it's almost the same as this. Well, this is called mapping because you need to match the relation from one to the other. Which one does the 2 match to? and you need to show it with an arrow. Where does the 4 match to? The 7, and the 6 matches to the 8. Now, what is the purpose of that? Let me show you the purpose. What if I gave you one more coordinate for this table, and it was 2, 5? So I add that to my table, and I'm going to graph it. 2, 5, 2, 5. It's about right there. Now, let me show you what to do for this. My x values were 2, 4, 6, 2, but I already have a 2. For mapping, I don't need to repeat it again. For the y value, I do need to write the last value, which was 5. Now, how do I indicate that it's a new point? Like this. Does everybody see that? So for 1, number 2, there's 3, so that's 2, 3, and the other one is 2, 5. Everybody with me? The last part. So we're done with those 3. Let's write the domain. So we're going to write D, and instead of using the table, I'm going to use this one. So my domain is what? 2, 4, and 6. If I was to look at just the table, I just write 2, 4, 6. Do I repeat the 2 again? No, and I'm done. Now I'm going to write the range. What is my range, everyone? 3, in order, please. 5, 7, and 8. And that's how the home plate is going to be. How are we doing?
Good.
Okay. Now the last part. Here we go. Look up, please. If I was to give you this one, you would know what to do, right? All 3 things. Boom, boom, and boom. Okay. But this is where I want to go. Copy this one, please. Example 3, it says give the domain and range of the relation. So to draw this, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to draw 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, and 4. So now let me show you how to write the domain and range. The domain, we said it's all x values. Is that correct? So let me ask you this. What did they give us? This line right here with two dots, or this line segment. What values of x make up this segment? Yes. He said 1 and 5. That's true for this point and this point. How about all this in between? What x values cover all this in between? 2, 3, 4, and 5. Therefore, you're going to write this. From 1 all the way to 5 is my x value, and you're going to write less than or equal to, less than or equal to. Does this look familiar? Okay. Now check this out. I'm going to do the range. Look at the range. This is my y values. So from where to where covers this part? 4 to 3. So this is 3, 4, and it's my y value, less than or equal to, less than or equal to. Home plate for tonight is play sheet 3-1 and 3-2. Come get that over here. Good one, guys. There's tutoring today. If I don't see you in tutoring, I'll see you guys till Thursday. Bye.